As I really don't have enough light in my garage for filming, I decided to come outside here in the woods, surrounded by the autumn colors. Looks great, but I really don't like autumn because it means that the end of the motorcycle season is near here in Finland. But now to day 3 of my solo trip to Norway. Day 3 started in Inari with a great breakfast at the Inari Wilderness Hotel, and then I took off north, and my objective was to get to the Karigasniemi village, where there's a border station to Norway, and that didn't take long, an hour or so. Now the Nordic countries have had a no passport union since the 1950s, and the Nordic countries are also all part of the Schengen area, so getting from one country to another is really no big deal. You just drive over the border and that's just about it. And this was the case at Karigasniemi too. I didn't see anybody working there, customs or police or border guard or anything. Last time I visited Northern Norway was in 1998 as a young man, and that happened traveling by car, and I really had forgotten how amazing and awesome Norway is, with all the fjords and the high mountains and spectacular views. Now on the Norwegian side, I took off towards North Cape or Nordkapp. I checked the weather forecast before I left in the morning, before I left Inari, and it said that a thunderstorm with heavy rains would hit North Cape in the afternoon, about 3 o'clock. So I was really quite stressed for time, which meant that I pretty much rode my Benelli north. I took very few breaks, and the breaks I took was usually because I wanted to take pictures of the amazing views. At some point I was afraid that I wouldn't make it in time until I realized that even though I traveled pretty much straight north towards the Barents Sea, Norway has a different time zone from Finland, so the time is actually 1 hour less there. And the weather forecast was of course in Norwegian time, so I was pretty happy when I realized this and understood that I just might have a chance to reach North Cape before the storm hits. Now when I reached the Barents Sea in Norway, the winds really picked up, really heavy winds, which was sad because I knew that I couldn't get my small DJI Mavic Mini drone up in the air. It would have been carried away somewhere far away from me, so no drone footage. Really spectacular views. Sad to say that it looks good on video and photographs, but it doesn't compare at all to the real deal. Nothing new and no surprise there, but I guess it's sad in a way. Really want to show you guys how it looked and how beautiful it was. A lot of tunnels in Norway, and the North Cape Nordkapp tunnel was an experience, almost 7 kilometers long, at its deepest point 212 meters below the sea level. So first you go downhill deep under the sea, and on the other side long climb 2-3 kilometers going uphill. In Finland, the tunnels where cars drive, each direction has its own tunnel, so you don't really meet any other cars or trucks or motorcycles inside the tunnel. In Norway, that's not the case. One lane for each direction, and it's possible to collide with another car inside the tunnel. So in a way, pretty scary when you're 200 meters below the sea. Luckily no heavy traffic, and it was a nice, memorable experience. When I reached Honningsvåg, the weather looked pretty good, except from the heavy winds, so I decided to take a left and try to reach North Cape. And it was about 30 kilometers, but the winds made it a real challenge. I've never ridden a motorcycle in such winds. You really had to work and lean towards the wind. I have no idea what the angle was, but looking at motorcycles that I met on my way up to North Cape, it was a pretty steep angle. I later in Honningsvåg in the evening, I met some very experienced ADV riders that said that the wind conditions were crazy, so I guess they really were crazy, not just me being unexperienced. But I loved it. I went on this trip to find some sort of adventure, and this was it. A few scares as the wind kept changing and rolling all over the place, but I really loved it. when I reached the end of the road, North Cape, the cliffs, staff told me that you shouldn't really stay too long here as the thunderstorm is about to hit. North Cape was an amazing place, very beautiful, really expensive if you want to get inside the tourist center. I think it was about 30 euros or something. And I paid up because when in North Cape I wanted to see the tourist center also. But I didn't stay there for about maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And then I wanted to get back down to Honningsvåg where I would spend the night. As I started my journey down from North Cape, the weather got bad really fast. On my way to Honningsvåg I was hit by two small rain showers. Wasn't that bad. And when I reached Honningsvåg and just when I got my Benelli parked outside my hotel, then the skies opened up and some really, really heavy rainfall. Honningsvåg is a really small place and a lot of tourists, a lot of people that either want or need or have to spend the night there, and this affects the prices. I think I paid 140 euros for a pretty simple hotel room, but I loved Honningsvåg. It was a very beautiful city, officially maybe more of a village. Had a nice dinner and then I went for a walk and I found myself in the harbor in a small pub and paid over 12 euros for a glass of beer. Overall, an epic day, amazing scenery, friendly people, reaching North Cape, and especially when it was this close, it wouldn't have happened. Great day. I was a really happy man.